here are our headlines this morning. The Environment Agency warns of possible water shortages this summer after the driest spring on record. A bill to legalise assisted dying in Scotland has passed its first vote at Holyrood.
Good morning. Police must do more to tackle shoplifting, says the boss of one of Britain's biggest sports retailers. The chair of JD Sport tells Breakfast some people now see theft from shops as a way of life.
In sport, late drama sends Sunderland to Wembley as an extra-time winner sees them beat Coventry City to leave them one game away from a return to the Premier League.
Look at all those famous faces.
The lineup for Celebrity Traitors has been announced, but will fans of the series be faithful to this latest version? Let's have a look at today's papers, which are here on time. Many of them leading with the release yesterday of Peter Sullivan, that man who's convicted of a murder back in 1986, which he didn't commit. Cleared after 38 years, the headline there on the Mirror. The paper describing his ordeal as a justice fiasco.
The Times front page includes a photo of President Donald Trump shaking hands with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. Mr. Trump is partway through a tour of the Middle East, and the paper reports he is jubilant over the trade deals he has managed to strike so far.
A health story on the front page of The Express. This is interesting. A golden age of obesity-fighting drugs on the way. It's leading with research into a group of weight loss drugs which includes semaglutide, which you've talked about in the past, only often marketed as Ozempic or Wegovy. And it's saying that the results suggest that they may delay a number of diseases as well as causing weight loss, that it could have implications for all kinds of health management.
Certainly they will be used a lot more widely, I think, over the coming years, according to the reports in the papers today.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll talk about that a bit later.
At 6, the United Nations calls again for a ceasefire in Gaza and demands full access for humanitarian aid. Israeli airstrikes are intensifying. Health officials in Gaza say at least 80 people have died today. Also tonight, President Trump meets Syria's president, a former jihadist, after announcing all US sanctions on Syria are being lifted. The 7-year-old killed when an illegal cannabis factory blew up a block of flats in Newcastle. A man is jailed for 14 years. A drought warning for parts of the UK after the driest spring in decades. The British teenager reported missing in Thailand is arrested in Georgia on suspicion of drug offences. And the chimps, who seem to have mastered their own first aid using medicinal plants. The Co-op has said that stock on supermarket shelves and on its website should start to return to normal levels this weekend. It comes after a cyber attack caused widespread shortages. The company announced it was switching its online ordering system for suppliers back on after the hack, which also comprised customer and staff data. A British teenager has been detained in Tbilisi in Georgia on suspicion of drug offences. 18-year-old Bella Cully, who had been travelling in Southeast Asia, was reported missing by her family. Well, Frances Reid joins me now. So she was reported missing in Thailand and has now reappeared arrested in Georgia.
Exactly. So Bella Cully was understood to have been on holiday in Thailand when she was reported missing, and it sparked this major international search. She's originally, though, from Billingham, near Middlesbrough, and 4 days ago she resurfaced in Georgia next to Russia, nearly 4,000 miles away from where she'd originally gone missing, and it's completely unclear at this stage how or why she ended up there. But it was on entry to the former Soviet country that she was detained as her bags were being checked through security. Now, a spokesperson for the police there confirmed that a British national had been arrested on suspicion of buying, possessing and importing narcotics, including several kilos of marijuana. Now, if found guilty, she could face up to 20 years in jail or even possibly life imprisonment. There has been one initial hearing so far, and at the moment she's being held in a detention facility in the city of Rustavy. The Foreign Office has said it's now supporting her family.
The parents of 30-year-old Emily Chesterton, who died after a blood clot was missed twice, call for changes as they take their case to the High Court.
We want no more Emilys, we want end to confusion, we need clarity on it. We need the whole sorry mess to be sorted out.
Also tonight, after recent cyber attacks, we hear from a former hacker on how to keep safe online. Plus, protecting endangered eels. We're out with volunteers monitoring them in the Thames. A woman has told an inquest the day an 11-year-old girl went missing at a water park was a nightmare that wouldn't stop. Kelly Edwards was at a birthday party with her at Liquid Leisure near Datchet in Berkshire when Kyra Hill went missing and later drowned. She said it felt like forever searching for Kyra, who was found more than an hour after emergency services were called. The inquest continues. A group of MPs says the government can't be left to mark its own homework when it comes to following through on the recommendations made by the Grenfell public inquiry. The Housing, Communities and Local Government Committee has called for an independent public body to be set up to oversee progress on improving building safety. Police in Essex have found the remains of 37 dogs at an address in Billericay. 20 other dogs were also seized and are now being cared for. 2 men have been arrested on suspicion of fraud and failing to prevent unnecessary suffering to animals. And part of the M25 in Surrey was closed for most of the day, affecting thousands of people travelling to Heathrow and Gatwick. It's after a crash involving 2 lorries and an oil spillage happened between Junction 6 at Godstone and Junction 5 at around 4 a.m. 2 people have been arrested.
People in parts of Croydon say a wave of missed bin collections over the past month has left some streets overflowing with rubbish and what they call the persistent smell of decay. One resident says their road was missed for 7 weeks following the launch of a new waste contract. Croydon Council's apologised and says it's working with Veolia to resolve any teething issues. Hundreds of people have signed a petition to try and stop Twickenham Stadium hosting more concerts. Richmond Council's due to decide whether to approve plans to allow up to 15 major non-sporting events a year instead of the current 3. The Rugby Football Union, which owns Twickenham, says it's losing out to venues like Wembley, the Emirates and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A committee of MPs says the government can't be left to mark its own homework when it comes to following through on the recommendations made by the public inquiry into the fire at Grenfell Tower. The Housing, Communities and Local Government Committee has called for an independent public body to be set up to oversee progress on improving building safety.
Having a national body, essentially, looking at the progress of has the fire brigade reported back on what they need to do in terms of fire safety, have the building safety industry reported back to the government on what they need to do in terms of regulations for new buildings. So pulling all of that together in one board is a clear way to show that this is an issue that the government takes seriously.
A hawk that terrorised Hertfordshire villagers for a month has calmed down considerably and is recovering at his new home since being captured, according to the falconer caring for him. Bomber, a Harris hawk, was trapped by a resident in Flamstead after attacking around 50 people since the start of March, sometimes drawing blood and sending 1 man to hospital.
Reward is on offer for information about the murder of a man who was shot in Lambeth. In May last year, 26-year-old Jasmine Patterson-Lowe was dropped off at St Thomas's Hospital having been shot. He died hours later. Police, who believe Jasmine was shot on the Westbury estate where there was a gathering of 40 people, are urging people to come forward with information. Undercover police officers caught a thief less than a minute after he snatched a phone in London Bridge. Officers in an unmarked car spotted the thief grabbing the phone and being chased by the victim near Hayes Galleria. The officers made an immediate U-turn and blocked him before returning the phone to its owner.